Hello again and satanic blessings. This is the second part of the previous video that was called An Important Message for the Satanic Community. And I got cut off the last time. Where I got cut off was the part where I was mentioning that the Satanic Temple, although they don't believe that they're doing the devil's work, and a lot of theistic Satanists in the community do not believe they're doing that the Satanic Temple is not doing the devil's work. The Satanic Temple has a very important part to play because they are in the mainstream. And because they're in the mainstream, they are able to get everyday people, to warm up to them. People are much more likely to warm up to the Satanic Temple than they are to theistic Satanists, and devil worshippers, and demonolators. And one thing about the Satanic Temple, although I don't care for their attitude, they are very condescending towards us theists. But they are promoting freedom of religion and promoting separation of church and state, which is very important because whether people want to believe it or not, in the United States, there really is not a separation of church and state, even though there's supposed to be. And the founding fathers wanted to make sure that there is a separation of church and state. How can there be when in the Pledge of Allegiance it says one nation under God? It should say one nation indivisible. How could it be separation of church and state when on our money it says in God we trust? And we see that a lot of political leaders are motivated by evangelical beliefs. Right? There's a lot of right-wing Christian political leaders, and they're trying to push their anti-abortion agendas, which is not going to work because there are more people that have a brain in their head and a good head on their shoulders than the idiots in this country. We saw that with this past election. So at least that, we could lean on that there's still some people with some common sense. Not many. It's dwindling, but we still have people with common sense, and we're having more of a diverse political system in the United States. So, that being said, the Satanic Temple does a lot of work to promote freedom of religion, separation of church and state, women's rights, pro-choice, and a lot of other charitable works, LGBTQ rights, a lot of positive things. So they do a lot of positive things that goes against Abrahamic religions. So that is the devil's work. That is the devil's work for these positive changes. That's what Satan wants. He wants us to evolve. And that's why I say the Satanic Temple, for those reasons, is important and is doing the devil's work, even if they don't believe they are, and even if they personally act like conceited idiots, and that they are very condescending to the rest of us. They're still their mission is still warranted and important for Satan and the infernal realm's mission. Okay, so let me go into this. Now, this is the reason why I had these cards out. There's a reason for it, and I have Bael's King Bael's sigil here. I didn't get to it in the last video, but what I did was I received a message from King Bael. Okay, and from the last video till now, I saved these 4 cards and I put them aside on top of King Bael's sigil, so I could do this part 2. So I put them aside for this, and I started the last video stating that I watched a fellow satanic sister who was mentioning that she was putting down people who charge for rituals and readings of messages from Satan and the demons, and I was it was bothering me, so I had to make a comment on there just to say my opinion in a polite way, of course. I was polite. Like I said, I like her channel. I like her content. And I've even purchased 2 of her books. So I went ahead and as soon as I finished writing my comment, because I think my mind is always going and thinking. So of course Satan and the demons could tell that. So as soon as I finished that comment, I was just kind of like stewing, and King Bael got my attention. So I immediately grabbed my tarot deck, and he wanted to let me know this. And finally, here's the message. So the message is, I will show it to you. I have the 2 of Swords, the 5 of Wands, the Knave of Wands, and the 10 of Wands. Now, if you're not familiar with tarot, which I hope some of you are, because if you are familiar with tarot, you could see what type of energy is going on right here. This happened immediately after I posted my message. King Bael literally got my attention. And that's when I pulled out the deck and he gave me this message. So I'll just explain. King Bael told me through this, my divination, and then I was talking to him back and forth. He gave me a couple of personal messages, but this is the one that I asked if I could post, and this is the one that I think is the most relevant. King Bael was giving me a heads up, and I'm glad that he did this, because it made things. I know that it's hard to change people's minds, and I'm like that. I just can't keep quiet sometimes, and I'm very polite when I talk to people, but if I don't care who it is, I could like them. It doesn't matter. If I think something is wrong, I have to say it. I just feel, especially if it has to do with Satanism, I feel that it's important for me to say what I feel is what I believe is correct. And I will stew. I will continue to stew, and until I get it out. That's just how I am. I'm a Leo. So Leos, most of us, we're very opinionated people. We just can't sit back and when we see everything, when we see people fighting, when I see people fighting or I see chaos, I have to step in. I like to be the person that tries to set everybody straight, and it never works. It very rarely does it work. Very, very rarely. I only accomplish aggravating myself. Because, people are going to believe what they're going to believe, and that's it. And this has nothing, not just talking about Satanism, just political issues, social issues. Sometimes you could just talk to people blue in the face and, and even though I don't push my beliefs on people, I try to reason with them. And I've noticed that it's not worth it always to try to reason with people, because some people are just very headstrong. So what King Bael told me was that in this community there is a stalemate. There is a point where half the community is on one side, half the community is on another side, and we're divided, and we're like at a stalemate because of this divide. And there's a lot of arguing and a lot of conflict and fighting going on because of this in the community. And if you're in the satanic community, online, social media, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's very evident. It's ridiculous. It's very toxic. People claim, because I don't believe a lot of what people say, but a lot of people claim they're going to throw curses on people just because someone had a different opinion, or that's ridiculous. People say they threaten curses all the time for everything, and you can't if in this community is supposed to be about individualism. So there's, just like with Christianity, there's different sects. There's Methodists, there's evangelical, Catholicism, Protestant, Baptist. In Satanism, in the left-hand path community, there's also different sects. Some people believe Satan and Lucifer are different. That's fine. I respect that. I believe Satan and Lucifer are the same. Everybody has a different idea. Some people, if you say the word devil, I've had people laugh at me. And that they don't have to believe in the devil. I do. So there's different people. There's anti-cosmic Satanists. There's, Satanists that believe that they're more that Satan is like a pagan god like Pan. And I could understand that too. I could understand some of them say that he's Melech Taus. I understand that too. I respect people's different opinions. We're all on the same team here. We're all on the same mission. We're the smallest minority of religion or spiritual path in this planet. We're so small, and to divide and fight makes us weaker, and it makes us look stupid to the rest of the world. Not like we should care what people think, but on the grand scheme of things, when we want to push things like freedom of religion, we want people to take us seriously. We want to be able, when you go to a hospital, or you have to fill out government forms and they ask you your race, gender, religion. It would be nice to see Satanist on there one day. It would be nice. Well, I always have to check other. So, and then I'll explain. I'll put traditional Satanist. So we're all on the same team, and there shouldn't be any fighting. But King Bael was telling me about this. It's like a standstill, a crossroads, a stalemate, and everybody is fighting with each other over it. And this card, the Knave of Wands, represents me. The Knave of Wands is somebody that wants to ignite, either ignite or instigate a situation, or wants to start a new project, or start something, an idea. Someone that's very motivated to start something. So this represents me trying to get everybody to kind of be on the same page. And then I got the Ten of Wands, and King Bael basically told me that it's going to be very, very difficult. So his message was to me, there is a divide in this community, and everybody is fighting, and I want to I want to do something that's going to be very difficult. The Ten of Wands means overload, too much on your plate, hardships, difficulty. So what I want to do is very difficult, and he's correct. So you can't get everybody on the same page. It's just going to be people that are not going to, that are just going to hate us. There's going to be people that are just going to hate me, that probably don't even know who I am, and they're just going to hate me because I think Satan and Lucifer and the devil are the same. I think the fact that I think that the Satanic Temple is positive. So there are things that, I'm not all one way. There's some things that I agree with, and there's some things I don't agree with. I agree that ceremonial magic is just as important as doing a private ritual. You don't have to do ceremonial magic, but yes, there's magicians that do ceremonial magic. That's what they do. And if that's what gets them results and they enjoy doing it and Satan approves of it, I don't see what the big deal is. I personally don't follow ceremonial magic. I don't follow Thelema. I don't follow anything from the Solomonic Grimoires. I basically put together my own rituals, like in my previous video I mentioned. But that's because that's what I like to do. And some people might do a ritual in their mind. Or they might go out into the woods and just start talking to Satan. And that's their idea of a ritual. Or somebody wants to take out, go the whole 9 yards and, get all the ingredients and elaborate products together and do a proper ceremony. Not one way is better than the other. They're all different. And if the fact is with Satan and the demons, if they, and any god, because like I said, I also am honoring the Norse goddess Freya and the Norse goddess Hel, and I'm going to be studying runes with Odin and Freya. So I was guided to work with Odin. So any god, okay? So any god or goddess, or it doesn't matter if they say that, and they don't mind a certain way you're doing something, then that's fine. It's between you and that god. it doesn't matter. No other human can tell you what you can and can't do. So if some people, they swear by ceremonial magic, that's what they learned, or they learned Thelema, and that's what they like to do, and follow Aleister Crowley's books, then so be it. If they like that, and Satan and their gods manifest or come to them and don't have a problem, I don't see why they should be condemned. And on the other hand, if we want to go ahead and do our own made up ritual, that's fine too. So there's more than one way to contact a person. You can call up your friend on the telephone. You could text them. You can email them. You could send them a tweet. And you could send them a private message on Facebook. So there's different ways to contact people, or snail mail in the mail. So there's different ways to contact the gods. And I think that people should also take that into consideration. And just be more open-minded, because I know that King Bael told me to be, this is difficult to try to get people on the same page. It's like talking to a brick wall. It's, but at the end of the day, I really shouldn't care. I shouldn't. It doesn't personally affect me what other people think. But even on the same note, even though I really shouldn't care, it still bothers me. Like, it's still in the back of my mind, and I'm like, no, people shouldn't be like this. And, our community needs to, be more unified and more open-minded so we could share ideas, I didn't know anything about anti-cosmic Satanism. And that's something that I find that's interesting. And I'd like to look into that. Working with Ahriman, Zoroastrianism. Ahriman is considered the first Satan. That's another current. There's so many currents. Pan. People see him as Pan, Melek Taus. Like I said, there's so many different ways you could connect with Satan, and you could change too. It could change. You could change your ways you see him, because there's different aspects, and there's, like I said, all the gods are complex. There's different sides to them. They're not just one thing, They're not just, they could do many different things, and they could specialize in different things. So that was the whole point. And that's why I know this video could have I could have done this in 3 minutes, but I wanted to say everything I wanted to say. And then just that King Bael, he, let me know, because he knew that I was like, just laying there stewing after I left that comment. So he immediately, contacted me and let me know, that this is how it is. There is a divide in our community, and people are fighting. And what I want to do is actually really difficult, to try to get everybody on the same page. It's it's going to take a lot of work, to get us all from stop all this fighting. And that's because of the divide. So just be more open-minded. You could learn something. Doesn't it get boring if you only do the same things? I want to learn from other Satanists if they, about the Aramanic tradition. I want to learn about anti-cosmic Satanism. I want to learn, more stories about Pan. I want to learn these things. because they're interesting, and they all represent that current, that dark adversarial current of Satan. And when there's Satan at his soul core. Like, we could look different, we could dye our hair different, we could change the way our appearance is, and we could even speak to people differently. We could talk one way to one person, one of our best friends, and then we talk different to our bosses. So we have different sides to us, but our core, who we are in the center, is not our mind. It's not our appearance. It's the soul. So, and it's hard to separate the mind from the soul, because the mind likes to be, yap a lot. But we're the soul, and at the end of the day, it's, are you talking to the soul of Satan? Are you talking to the heart of him, the core of him? Because that's what matters. He could look like Pan to you. He could look like, with long blonde flowing hair, long black raven hair. He could look like Pan with horns. He could look different ways. He can come as a serpent. But the core of who he is what we're connecting to. So we're all on the same page, because we're all Satanists, not the atheists. We're all connecting to that, to him in his core, and he can shapeshift, and he can come, with different masks. But again, there's people that believe that they're all separate. That's fine. That's totally fine. I don't, but I have my beliefs, and I just think that everybody needs to be more open-minded, because there's so much that we don't know, and there's so much I don't know. And when you hear people, they act like they know everything and they don't want to learn anything else. I mean, doesn't that get boring after a while? I think so. There's just so many different currents of Satan that I'd like to explore personally. So that was the message from King Bael, and I asked him if I could post this, and he said yes. And that was it. That there's a divide in the community. There's a lot of fighting going on, and what I want to do, me trying to, be the, I guess, like a thorn in some people's side. Sometimes I could be passive aggressive. Or instigate, because the Knave or Page of Wands can be an instigator. It's very difficult. It's going to be hard, because people are so damn set in their ways that they're set in their ways. And that's not what this is about. If you want to be set in your ways, you might as well go to one of the Abrahamic religions, because this is supposed to be about exploration, experimentation, and having fun, isn't it? Aren't we supposed to have fun as Satanists? Life is hard enough as it is in the mundane world, and I want to enjoy myself with my spirituality. I don't have a book to follow. I don't have a set of written rules. So as long as Satan is fine with it, and as long as my gods and demons are fine, and they approve of what I'm doing, because I always go to them and ask their opinion first, then that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what any other human being or any other person being in the flesh has to say. So that's the end of this video. And again, this one wound up becoming long as well. We're 29 minutes. Okay, so that's all I had to say about this. And thank you for listening. And wherever you are in the world, satanic blessings. Talk again soon.